All right, the button is down. Video team, if you haven't taken it down, you can shut that down. Andrew Copp in the house. Are there monthly payments available for the accelerator? Yeah, just call in 1-800-604-2587. The number's on the website. Call in, speak to one of our, our representatives, and then they'll be able to work with you as far as payments are concerned. So just call in and then talk to one of our representatives. They'll be able to help you. Yeah, so the button is down, and it's time to add value, guys. I mean, pitching is cool. That's what's up. But I like talking. I like giving value. So I know some of you guys know me already. This is my third talk here, and I've gotten a lot of hit-ups on Snapchat. I'm going to plug myself after my talk. And one of the things I've been, people been hitting me up, right? So you can get my Snapchat, you can hit me up. I usually respond to every message. A lot of people like the stuff I've been saying, but they just want a little bit more context on me, the things that I've gone through, and kind of just my story, right? Because, like, okay, you know so much, Andrew. You work for Ty. That's cool. But what is your story, right? What are some of the trials and tribulations you've gone through? And can you share a little bit of that? So I think for this talk, I'll kind of just talk about my little story, and then I'll take some Q&A at the end and kind of give you guys direct advice. And you guys know I love Q&A, so definitely save your questions to the end. I'll interact with you a little bit here, but yeah, Q&A, I look forward to that. So just before I start, where's everybody from? You from Boston? Dude came from Staten Island. That's huge. Why is Staten Island screwed up? Where you from, Sam? Staten Island ain't screwed up that bad. Tony, I see you with the Yankee hat. I'm a Mets fan, but shout out NYC. Philly, hey, your boy Meek Mill, man. I'm a Drake fan. But Marcus, NYC. Norway, what time is it over there, Norway? New Jersey, I'm from Staten Island. What's up? Michigan. England, that's what's up. I'm actually Irish, English, and African American, so that's what's up. South Texas, who are you? I am Andrew Copp. I work for Ty's marketing department. I head up his marketing department with his brother Ben. Slovakia, what's up? New York. Guatemala, what's up? London, what's up? Creative 4. It's, wow, it's past midnight in Norway. Well, hopefully I'm going to give you some good material to keep you up. I promise. Stockholm, where's everybody from? Where's everybody from? Facebook. Boston, what's up? What's up? How much does he pay? Why you worrying about my pockets? Jamaica. Are you from Jamaica, Queens? Or are you from Kingston? My best friend is Jamaican in Trinidad and Tobago. Washington D.C. What's up, Wale? Sacramento. What's up, the Bay? Jacksonville, Florida. Okay. All right. Well, definitely. And kind of just let me get some questions. Therefore, when I'm done talking, I kind of know where to take. What's some problems that's kind of troubling you guys as far as business? What's some things that you want answered? Therefore, I could kind of modulate my talk to God and give you guys some more value. You're here on a live talk because you want to learn. What's some things you guys want to learn about? What's some things you want me to talk about? Again, I'm Andrew Copp. I work for Ty's marketing department. I head his marketing department. So just kind of anything marketing, sales, business, anything. Anything you ask me. Should I start with 67? Yeah, I started with his 67 steps, and that was because the accelerator wasn't out yet. But if you have the means for the accelerator, you could kind of talk to them and they'll give you the 67 steps in. So risk and invest in tremendous money with minimum ROI. So you kind of risk adverse. Video business. What do you mean video business? Like, do you want to like give me more details? What up? Text me. I'm gonna say free. Renting salon, basking the gifts. Tips on being a better public speaker. Impromptu speaking is huge, man. If you know how to answer people's questions on a dime, I think that would offer. I mean, like, if you could go in front of a crowd, right, and have people ask you questions, that is the most valuable school, because it's one thing to give a talk, right? I'm gonna give a talk just because I get paid to do so. If not, I would answer questions all day, every day. But if I could, what are people coming to a conference for? What are people coming to a talk for? They have a personal problem and they want it answered. So if I could answer your question on a dime and not take 5 minutes to think about it, that is the most valuable thing. And I think I'm going to answer your question a little bit later, but I think the quickest way to be better at impromptu public speaking is to know a lot. And kind of stay speaking in things that you know about. Because if you speak about things outside your expertise, you're not going to be able to answer it as quickly. How to create a membership site. Okay, cool. When should I start with 60? Start it right away. I don't think why you would wait. 500 a month is too. I need to persuade price to be lower than 500 a month. I'm not sure what you're referring to as far as the 500 a month. Yes, Nathan Snapchat, cool accent. Yes, I'm from New York. That's my accent. Thank you for the video. Good information. Great. Perfect. Talk about, okay, cool. All right, so I'm going to get started with my talk. Again, for those of you who don't know, I'm Andrew Copp. I'm in Ty's marketing department. I'm from Staten Island, New York. I'm gonna kind of give you Staten Island. I'm gonna give you my little story about how I came from where I was to where I am, and then at the end I'll answer some Q&A, and then give you guys a lot of value. So cool. All right. So where do I begin? My story. Okay. So I am from Staten Island, New York, Brooklyn, right over the Verrazano. What part of Brooklyn you from, baby? So I'm from Staten Island, New York. I was born in Arlington Projects. And Arlington Projects, man. I mean, there's nothing like being born in the projects. You see all type of crazy stuff, but basically, I come from nothing, right? You hear about Ty and how he started, his journey at $47 in his bank account, but he was raised by a single mom in Long Beach. So me and him kind of resonate on that level. I'm from Staten Island. I had both my parents, but nonetheless, I was in a project building. I mean, roaches, rats. I didn't. I was never. I had meals at night. My mom definitely made sure I had meals that night. So it wasn't, it wasn't like I was starving and things of that nature, but I definitely was not in the best environment as possible. And, growing up in that environment, being in the project, things like that, you're around people who really, right, put it this way, they have a mindset that put them in that position, right? Not everybody's in the hood because they're, they don't have a good IQ or things. I'm not trying to say that. I'm not trying to imply that. But they're there for a reason, right? And whatever they're struggling with, it is what it is. So I basically grew up, I come from nothing. I grew up in a tough environment. I remember I was in like 7th grade. I was fighting for fun. We were slap boxing and doing things like that for fun. And when you come from that, it's kind of humbling, right? And shoot, Ty talks about not seeing, a millionaire till he was about 20, and it's the same thing with me. I didn't even know how to make that much money. My mom, she worked, she got disabled, on the job when I was young, so she was kind of a stay-at-home mom. And then my dad, he worked for the parks department, and he ended up getting 2 jobs when I was 14. So throughout high school, I barely saw him that much because he was just working to kind of keep food on the table. So, I grew up that way, went to elementary school. That was cool. Elementary school, I probably got suspended around, we had something called the Virtual Y program, right? So in the Virtual Y program, it's kind of like a program, Canada, what's up? So the Virtual Y program is like an after-school program, right? So if your parents are working, they can't come pick you up, you go to the Virtual Y program. And in 4th grade, I got kicked out the Virtual Y program. I don't know what I did. I forgot what they suspended me like 3 times, and in the 4th time, there was like, sayonara. And I had to take, I think 4th grade, how old am I, like 9, whatever, 8? I was taking public transportation by myself at age 8 because my parents couldn't come pick me up. So, I come from the project. I'm taking the bus at 8 years old by myself. And I'm thankful for that, right? Because if you look at all the stories, right, whether it's, millionaires, billionaires, like a lot of and you kind of notice this, right? A lot of successful people come from humble beginnings. And it's always interesting to me why it's that way. Why is always like the rich kid who has it all, why do they life, you talk about like, I'm not sure who was it, like Amanda Bynes, right? People like that, they have such success as a star when they're young, but then as they get older, it seems like they get worse. But then it's the people who start off with nothing who end up, going that way, right? A lot of musicians, actors, things of that nature. And that always interested me. Why? But I think, looking back at it retrospectively, I think one of the most reasons why I was able to go from, Arlington Projects in Staten Island to where I'm at now is because I had the people skills, right? So I'm in the projects, right? I can't talk to everybody a certain way, right? I need to know how to read somebody. I need to know if they're upset. I need to know how to diffuse situations, right? If I'm taking the bus at 8 years old, I kind of sense things. So at a young age, I developed such a social awareness, such a ability to read people, understand them, influence them, because if I couldn't in the projects, you're not going to survive, right? If you're going to a basketball court, you're talking smack, or if you don't know how to respond to somebody's anger, you're not going to last very long in the project. So at a young age, I developed such a social awareness just for survival reasons, right? Not only that, but I was pissed off. I'm like, yo, what? I mean, there was one time I fell asleep and I woke up and there was nothing but yellow tape. I lived on the 5th floor in Arlington, and there was nothing but yellow tape. And I wake up, I had to be about 7. I'm like, yo, Dad, what happened? And he was like, last night, some guy threw his girlfriend off the balcony, and she died. And the ambulance was all there. I'm surprised you didn't see it. I'm surprised you didn't wake up. And I'm like, what did I do to deserve this type of head start? You know what I'm saying? What did I do in my past life that warranted me being raised in this situation where boyfriends is throwing girlfriends off a balcony, they're dying, and then I remember there was one time a baby got shot in the eye, lost his eye, thankfully didn't die. I mean, I was 2 times in my life I see somebody bleed out on the floor, and I'm like, yo, what did I do to deserve this? You know what I'm saying? And it kind of, not only did I develop the social skills to kind of for survival reasons, but then I also developed a chip on my shoulder that pissed me off. I was pissed off that I was in this situation. And, you know, growing up, I guess I kind of took a lot of that out in my classes. I mean, I got suspended so many times in elementary school. I remember in 7th grade, my mom was this close from sending me to military school. And I think what changed my life personally was because I always scored higher on my test grades, right? So, you know, I have my thing about the educational system, but when I was in school, I always did well. I mean, you know, in New York, they kind of graded as 1, 2, 3, 4s, right? You remember, who was in New York, right? Remember, you either get a 3, a 2, a 1, a 4. A 4 is really good, 1's really bad. And on my state exams, I'd always score a 3 or a 4. But I was in the worst class. Like, I was in the class with, you know, there was one time I was in a little gang called ESF, right? East Side Flyers. And like that's the type of class I was in, right? You had the SP class, the honors class, but then you also had the other classes where it's like nothing but rejects. And, you know, excuse that language because some of them, I'm still friends with them. But it's like, okay, I come from this bad environment. In elementary school, I got suspended. I got kicked out the virtual wall. I'm taking public transportation at the age of 8 by myself. I get to junior high school. My mom's this close from sending me to military school because I keep on getting phone calls home, and she's pissed off that people keep calling her. She's like, yo, I'm not going to deal with this nonsense. But what changed my life was that the principal, the assistant principal was like, okay, this is not adding up. He's acting horrible. He got suspended 3 times this year alone in 7th grade, right? In 7th grade, I got suspended 3. It was funny because I had in-house detention. So my mom didn't even know, and I was acting up inside. So I was in suspension, in-house suspension, but then I was acting up in suspension. So they called my mom and told her that I was in suspension, acting up, and he was like, he's in suspension. Like, she was just low. Like, I kept those things from my mom, but, you know, like I said, she was this close for starting military school, and what stopped her was when they put me in the SP class, because I was acting terribly, but I always scored high on my tests. So there was like, okay, maybe it's his environment. Maybe if we switch his environment, maybe we put him in the honors class, that he'll straighten up. And I remember my first week in the honors class, right? I was like, okay, cool. I got a new audience, right? Whatever. So I go in the honors class, and I'm doing the same things I did in the other class with the rejects, right? You know, I'm in the gang class with gang members, people from my hood, whatever. I'm acting this, I'm acting that. I'm trying to be funny. I'm trying to be the class clown. I go to the honors class. When I say crickets, I mean, like, it was bad. I mean, like, the things I was doing was bombing. I was standing on a desk trying to be funny. And I'm like, they're like, what is this kid doing, right? Because they don't come from that environment, you know, as sad as it seems. But the people in the honors class, right, they come from, you know, most of them I'm half white, I'm half black myself, right? I'm Irish, English, African American. My dad's white, my mom's black. But most of the kids in the honors class were predominantly white, probably predominantly white class. They don't come from Arlington Projects, where I was from. They came from a different part of Staten Island. So when I came into class, started speaking this slur, this Ebonics, and I'm standing on a desk and I'm shouting, they're not laughing, right? They wasn't laughing at me. So I gave it a week. I was like, okay, cool. Maybe it'll grow on them, right? But then 2 weeks passed, and, you know, they're not finding me funny. And it got to a point where nobody in the class was even talking to me. So I'm like, oh, wait, time out. I'm not going to act this way anymore because I'm not getting laughs, right? So the theory of the assistant principal was starting to work out. It was like, maybe he's just acting this way because he's in a certain class, but if he's in a different class, maybe he'll straighten up. So the first 2 weeks, I'm giving him run for his money, and nobody's laughing at me. So then I was like, fine, I got something for y'all. I'm going to do better on every test than all y'all, and then I'm going to talk my smack, right? So then I started doing very well. Right, I'm still scoring my 3s, I'm still scoring my 4s, but instead of acting up, I'm starting to answer questions, right? Because I'm mad. I'm like, y'all not laughing at me, but I'm smarter than all y'all, and I'm going to show y'all. So then I started doing well, right? I started doing extremely well in class. Now everybody wants to be my friend now because they didn't know I was so smart. They just thought I was a freaking idiot class clown. But then I started doing well, answering questions, doing that, and that was my first lesson. Now that I kind of go through Ty's programs, I can kind of look back, and that was like my first real realization that your environment does affect the type of person you are and you become. Because had I not, I promise you, had the principal not moved me to that class, had I not been moved to honors class, I don't think I would be here right now. At that point, I joined a little bit gang. I mean, I wasn't doing gang banging activities, but it was only a matter of time before I would start. I mean, I was, like I said, in 7th grade, I was fighting for fun. You know, doing stuff. I was hanging with that crowd, right? We'd go after the school bus, we'd square up, we'd fight for fun. But in 8th grade, that's when they switched me to the honors class. And had I not get pulled away from that environment, I don't know where my life would be today. So I'm in the honors class. I'm starting to do very well. Everybody wants to be my friend. And then I go to a school called Newdorp High School. For those of you in Staten Island, New York, know what that is. I go to school called Newdorp. I'm in high school. Cool. My first year, I wasn't very happy. My freshman year of high school, I wasn't very happy because I wanted to go to a different school. Right, I wanted to go to a high school where all my friends were at, called Wagner, because I went to a school close to that high school. So what happens is a lot of people go to the school closest to them. I am going to Newdorp. I don't know even how. Like I think my 7th grade. This is what happened. My 7th grade year was so bad because what high schools do, they take your 7th grade year, not your 8th grade year. So my 7th grade year was so bad as far as grades that when I started doing well in SP and honors class, it didn't even matter because the high schools took my 7th grade year, and I got suspended 3 times. I was in detention. I wasn't doing my homework. I did very kind of poor my 7th grade year. So Wagner declined me. They didn't accept me. And then my other school that I wanted to go to, the school closest to my house didn't even accept me. Like it was like my 7th grade year was that bad. So I ended up going to a school called Newdorp, and I guess they must have took everybody because I don't know how I ended up there, but I ended up in a school called Newdorp. And my freshman year, I was pretty upset because I didn't know anybody. So then the whole year, I was kind of pissed. I was just, waiting to transfer out. And the cool thing about it is I ended up transferring out to Wagner. So I ended up going to Wagner my sophomore year, and I was there for 2 months. I mean, it was a crazy story. And you Copp telling the story. I'm telling my story, and then I'll take some Q&As. Trust me, I'm gonna provide value. Ty just wants me to kind of come here and tell my story and kind of, following the boss's rules. So, I'm in high school. I go to Wagner, and me and my friend, we go to football camp, and then we run away from football camp because that's the story, and that's a different story why we ran away from football camp, but whatever. So we get back, and I end up transferring back to Newdorp, and I started playing football, right? I started playing football in high school, and that kind of changed my life as well because like I had all this energy, and I think the reason why I was acting up in junior high school is because like my parents didn't put me in football. My mom was scared I'd break my neck or something, so I had all this pent up energy, and I would just act a fool because I didn't have no way of releasing it, right? So I started playing football my freshman year at Newdorp, and then I transferred to Wagner, and then I left football camp for whatever reason, and I came back to Newdorp, and then my junior year, I was kind of on a mission, right? And I started doing extremely well in school again because like I was just so mad about how situation in Wagner happened that I started doing well in school my junior year. I kind of was playing a lot of different positions. I was playing quarterback, I was playing safety. I was doing a lot of different things. I played a little bit, but then my senior year came, and like the team was it was my team basically. I remember I was basically the only person going both ways. My junior year really set me up for my senior year. And I had a best friend named Shannon Richardson, my best friend to this day. His father was really like my mentor, right? My first mentor. I really didn't see it until like now I could kind of point back to it. And what was so cool about it was that my best friend Shannon, he had a brother named AJ. And, his brother AJ played football like me, but he kind of went through the recruiting process. So AJ was 2 years older than us. So he went through the recruiting process way before me. He went to college. He played football in college. So Shannon's dad knew the process of how to go about getting recruited. So my coach, Coach App, God bless him, wasn't the best at getting his players recruited. Like he was a decent coach, whatever. But the thing about high school coaches is that some of them just care about their record, especially in New York. New York is not known for football. We're more of a basketball town. In New York, the football coaches, they're just more concerned about their record, right? They want to win games. They want to have a better record. They want the accolades. But it's like after their senior year, it's like the kid has to kind of fend for himself. Luckily, I had, with what all my other teammates didn't have. I had a mentor. I had Mr. Richardson, which is my best friend's father, and why he was a mentor is because his brother went through the same process. So junior year, he forces me to take the SAT. Like, I knew I had to take it, but he said, no, you're going to take it right now. So I showed up. I mean, I didn't even study for the SAT. I just showed up. I scored a 1,600, not even knowing what the hell I was doing. They mark it at a 2,400 now, so 1,600 is pretty good. Like I said, I always had the high intellect. I didn't study for it. I mean, I just ended up taking it. Then I went to my senior season. I played pretty well. Started getting some looks. I started getting looked at. Wagner Colleges was in Staten Island. I started getting looked at. Other colleges, St. Francis, things like that. Kind of D1 AA. And for those of you athletes, you know kind of what D1 AA schools are. You have like your Alabamas, your Oregons, and things of that nature. Then you have like the second tier D1 AA. So after my senior year of high school, I performed pretty well, enough that I was getting looked at by D1 AA schools, and they was offering me here, academic scholarships and a little bit of athletic money. But I was like, yo, like the way I played senior season, I thought I was worth a little bit more. And not only that, I had the grades, right? My whole high school career, I had like 95 averages, and I was kind of a paradox, right? And one of the things I always struggled with going like in high school was that I'm biracial, right? So I'm half white, I'm half black. So I could kind of fit into any community, right? If I'm in a predominantly business, I could talk the talk. But when I'm also around certain other people, more hood, more urban, I could speak that language as well. So what I always struggled with growing up was that when I was like around my football team, I was always the smart kid, right? I wasn't black enough because I was getting these grades. I could speak a certain language around certain people. But then when I went to because I was also in honors in high school, when I was in the honors class, I'd sag my pants. Like I don't do it anymore, but I sagged my pants, and I had an accent, I had a kind of a verbiage that they didn't understand. So when I'm in my honor classes, like I wasn't accepted by that crowd because I'm this jock, I'm this football player from the hood. But then when I'm in the football team, it's like, or talking about, nah, you're not one of us, dog. You about to go to college. You about to get a scholar. You speak proper. Nah, man. So like that's something I always struggled with, right? So growing up, I was poorly behaved, so I struggled with that. Then they moved me to honors class. To honors classes, it was like I wasn't accepted by the football players because I was in honors classes, but I wasn't accepted by the honors class because I was a football player. So that's something I always struggled with growing up. But back to it, I end up saying, you know what? I'm not taking any of these D1 AA offers. I feel like I had a good enough season that I'm gonna go try hit it big, right? So I got accepted to the University of Oregon, and I'm like, yo, I'm gonna try walk on. Worst comes to worst, I could always drop down if things don't happen, right? I'm a good enough player that if things don't work out at Oregon, that I can just transfer out and I'm gonna get a scholarship somewhere else. So I was like, Wagner, St. Francis, you guys kind of talking to me, calling me Fordham. You know what I'm saying? Like I come from the projects, and then Fordham was recruiting me. So it was a little bit of a paradox as far as where I'm concerned. So I always had the intellect and I had the ability as a football player. So I was like, I'm going to go to Oregon. Chip Kelly was coaching at the time, and I'm just going to try to walk on. So I go to Oregon, go cross country from New York, and I took summer classes. And my first day in the gym, I'll tell you, my first day in the gym, I see a guy working out, and he had like the football gear, the Oregon football gear, and he was power cleaning like a tremendous amount of weight. And I was like, bro, like you play football or something? He's like, yeah, cool. His name was Landon Neat. And I was like, yo, I'm here from New York. I'm trying to walk on. Like, is there any way I could work out with you? He's like, yeah, cool. Like, I'll train you. I think it was like a Tuesday. So I'll train you Thursday. I'll see what you're about. And then, if it's a good fit for both of us, I'll definitely train you. I'll help you walk on. So I show up Thursday and I crushed the workout. He's like, yeah, he's like, honestly, I really don't train like people straight out of high school. I train kind of like, cause he played football like a couple years before, but he still lived in the area, so he worked out. So he's like a couple years removed from the football team. He's like, I usually don't train people as young as you, but you seem mature and I'll work you out. So he worked me out all summer. And then this was my second mentor, right? So Mr. Richardson was my first mentor. He helped me kind of get my films out. He helped me get taught. He was the reason why Wagner was calling me. He was the reason why Fordham was calling me. He was the reason why St. Francis was calling me. So he was my first mentor. Then I met Landon, was kind of like my second mentor. He was helping me train. So long story short, I ended up getting to the walk-on, and I played defense, and I did the walk-on thing. I performed very well, but they just took one big ass lineman, but they wasn't. I guess they really weren't really. I mean, like there was an offensive team, so I guess they over recruited on defense because Chip Kelly wasn't the defensive coach. So I mean, they didn't take any defensive players. It just took one offensive lineman. And then I was like, okay, cool. Then the guy talked to me. One of the coaches, he was like, yo, try out for the spring once some of the seniors leave, and then we're gonna have a new walk on. But then Chip Kelly ended up leaving, right? And then the new coach, then he kind of discontinued the walk ons. So I was like, yo, I'm out of here. So then I end up going to a combine with like JUCOs. Cause I was like, I'm just gonna go the JUCO route, right? Oregon didn't work, right? I took a risk, and that's the thing. A lot of people are risk adverse, right? Yeah, football is hella politics. So like, I performed, and they just took one big ass lineman because you can never have too many linemen. I understand what Oregon was doing, but then Chip Kelly left, and it was like, wow, I'm really at this school for no reason now. So I said later for that, and I actually met one of my best friends, Deanna. There, she played basketball for Oregon. Deanna Weaver, she killed it. So it wasn't totally a loss, but I ended up transferring out. So I went to a JUCO combine, and I met a coach named Coach Haney, and he kind of coached the Delaware Gamecocks, and it was cool because like it was a combine. I performed very well, and it was kind of a combine for the Jersey team, and Coach Haney was just kind of like helping out coaching. So like after the event, I was kind of emailing back and forth with the New Jersey coach, but it was like I really didn't like his energy. But the Delaware coach, I kept in contact with him. I was like, yo, I'm actually, like, New Jersey's right across the bridge, but I'm going to go to Delaware. I'm going to go play for him. And the thing about him, it was a first-year program, so it was kind of like a risk. But I was like, honestly, I'm going to go with somebody I vibe with. So then I go out to Delaware. And for those of you, who knows have any of you heard of Wilmington, Delaware? Please let me know. Wilmington, Delaware. What do you guys know about Wilmington, Delaware? Let me hear it here. Wilmington, Delaware. What do you guys know about it? Anybody from out there? Wilmington. Man, when I tell you, like I said, I was raised in the projects. I come from the projects, but Wilmington, Delaware, is just as bad, if not worse, than what I grew up in. Right. So I go from the hood, right, and I made it to Oregon, right, based off my academic ability, my athletic ability. I make it all the way to Oregon, right, and Oregon was beautiful. I mean, I remember we had the littlest building. It was like an all-glass building. You had the library. You had these pretty women. And, like, the people I was meeting, I never met the type of people I met until I went to Oregon. Like, these people come from, there's so many people I met that come from money. I was like, what? Like, you know what I'm saying? So Oregon was pretty cool, and it kind of showed me what life could be like. But then I went back to Delaware. So I went from the hood to Oregon, back to the hood. And the reason why I went to Delaware is because I still wanted to earn a football scholarship. So the plan was I was going to go to Delaware. I was going to play the JUCO ball for a year or two, and I was going to get a scholarship to wherever I was going. So I go to Delaware, and the cool thing about it, I was already academically eligible. So I go to Delaware. I'm playing for Coach Haney, and we're basically this is kind of like January, and we're kind of we're training up until January. So I join. I go to Delaware Tech Community College. I'm enrolled Delaware Tech. I'm taking these community college classes because I'm chasing a football dream. After class, I go work out with the team, go home, do my homework, rest, and do it all again. I did that for a couple months, and then I went home for the summer. And for the summer in Staten Island, I kind of worked out with a coach named Coach Bali. And this is the second life-changing moment in my life because Coach Bali, not only did he train us, but he made us read as well. And I'm going to tell you the truth. I didn't read not one book in my life until I went to Oregon. Because when you go to college, you kind of you have to read or else you're going to fail your class. So I didn't read not one book until I went to Oregon. And then for class, I was forced to read these novels. I think I took a post-war Germany class, post-World War II Germany class, and she made us read 6 novels in the term, right? So a semester is 16 weeks, a term is 11 weeks. So she rated me 6 books in 11 weeks. So that's basically a book every other week. And I didn't read before in my life, but I was like, I'm not trying to fail this class because, at this point I'm paying for Oregon because I was trying to walk on. So I'm like, yo, I'm going to read every one of these books. So I ain't failing these classes. So then I kind of fell in love with reading. I'm like, yo, it's not that bad. So I kind of like reading. Then I left Oregon. I trained. I went to Delaware. And then the summertime, I'm training with Coach Bali. He said, if you train with me and my group, we also make you guys read a book. And the book he made us read that summer, this is the summer of 2013, was Rich Dad, Poor Dad. And that changed my life because like the book I was reading in Oregon, it was like post-war journal. It was cool, like it was interesting, but it was like, what can I do with this in my life? Like, cool, the Berlin Wall fell down. You know, families could reunite after 60 years not seeing each other. Whoop-de-doo, that's cool. What am I gonna do with that? Nothing. But going to Oregon developed my love for reading. So when I went to Coach Bali and he made us read the book, I actually read it. I actually read it because some of the kids didn't read the book; they was just there training. But I was like, I like reading. I'm gonna go read the book that way I could participate. Because how he did it was he trained us, and then during the water breaks he'll give us a speech, and then he'll train us, and then the next break he'll ask us questions about who read the book. So like the first day I didn't read it, and it was just kind of awkward because I didn't know what the hell was going on. He picked me, and I'm like, I didn't read the book. He's like, you better read the book. So I just read it. I read Rich Dad Poor Dad, and I read that in 2 days. Because they was talking about, you know, they had the class 4 quadrants. You know, he taught us about being an employee versus being self-employed versus being an entrepreneur versus being an investor. And when I read it, I was like, wow. Like, I never learned none of this stuff before. And, you know, Rich Dad Poor Dad, at this point in my business career, is kind of a basic book. But if you think about it, assets and liabilities, right? What's an asset? An asset is something that puts money in your pocket. A liability is something that, you know, takes money out your pocket. And his famous example is, what is a house? A house is a liability in his eyes because you're paying your mortgage, you're paying your light bills, etc. But I asked my mom, I was like, yo, Mom, you know the house, you know, the apartment. I mean, we was renting at the time. My mom, you know, God bless, my mom and my dad, God bless their souls. They never owned anything in their life, so we're renting. But I just asked them, like, yo, what do you think a house is, right? She was like, you know, Andrew, if I owned a house, that'd be my biggest asset. And I'm like, why? And then, you know, she gave the classic answer, because, you know, I own a house, it's worth this much. But I'm like, Mom, but, you know, because at this point I'm kind of like testing her, but like, why would it be an asset if every month you're paying this mortgage? Wouldn't it be a liability? And she was like, no, but the house is worth $200,000, and when I sell it, it'll be. But I'm like, Mom, but you didn't sell it yet. So until the point that you sell it, it's a liability. And it was like she didn't understand what I was saying, but that's when I knew that kind of books were important, because, not to disrespect my mom or anything, but that's probably that kind of mindset, those mental frameworks, was probably the reason why I was, you know, born into the projects, right? I mean, I'm objective about these things, but then I started reading more books, and I started asking her questions, and then everything she was saying to me was like the opposite of what I was reading. And I'm like, this is why I was born in the hood. Because, I mean, not to put pressure on her, not to disrespect her or anything, but it's like your mental frameworks, right? The way you think is how you operate. So, like, I'm reading these books, I'm asking my mom these questions, I'm asking my dad these questions, and it's not just them. I'm asking, you know, my friend's dad these questions. I'm asking everybody I meet. Because at this point, I'm curious. I'm even asking my coach. I'm like, yo, is your house an asset or a liability? And I'm starting to see, okay, the people who answer, right, the people who answer a certain way live a certain life. And then, you know, I end up getting a scholarship. I'll go into that later. Then I ask certain different people, and they'd give me a different answer, but then their lives were a little bit better. So that's why I started realizing, okay, the way you think, the things that you know, are extremely important, right? So that was kind of like my third big lesson, right? My first big life-changing moment was when I got, you know, moved to SP class. My second life-changing moment was I, you know, met my friend Shannon. His dad kind of helped me with the recruiting process. He's the reason why I went to Oregon. And then when I backed out, he's the one that sent me to the combine and got me into Delaware Tech. So then I played a football season, you know, Delaware Gamecocks, Coach Haney, and I ended up getting a scholarship because, like, we played like 4 games for some reason. Cause we're kind of a JUCO, but we're kind of a private prep team as well. So we just played 4 games for the inaugural season. And in 4 games, I earned a full scholarship to a school called Seton Hill University. Full scholarship, you know, half academic, half athletic, because, you know, smaller schools, they don't have as much funding, so they found money for me other ways. So I go to Seton Hill University, and I'm in a good environment, right? This school is in Greensburg, Pennsylvania. It's a private school. It costs $49,000 a year, so the people who could afford to be there come from nice families, and I'm in a nice environment again, kind of like Oregon, right? I played football at Big Sal. And Big Sal, just to catch you up, I went to Oregon first. I backed out. I went to school in Delaware, and then I earned a scholarship to Seton Hill. So I'm in Seton Hill now, and I'm on scholarship, and I played my first season of football. I played outside linebacker, and I did well. You know, I did as a freshman, I did well. Cool. Then going into my sophomore year, I had a coaching change, right? The coach that coached me my freshman year, Coach Aaron McGinty, he kind of left, and like the new coach came in, and it was just like they moved me to middle linebacker, and it was just a disconnect going on. And at this point in my life, I already kind of met Ty. I already got introduced to Ty. So after my freshman season of playing football, right, we kind of go into off season, right? So I'm already into this rich dad, poor dad stuff. I'm reading all these books on businesses and stuff because before my, like I said, 2013, I read the book. So going into the 2013 season with Delaware, I was reading. Going into my 2014 with Seton Hill season, I was reading. So I was kind of reading for a year and a half about business. So after my 2014 season, my first year at Seton Hill, my freshman year, I joined the LMLM right after the football season, right? How many of you guys heard of Amway? Yeah, exactly. Rich Dad Poor Dad is a good book. So I read one book from him, and the book said, okay, if you want to be an entrepreneur, which is what I wanted to do, then you need to know how to learn how to sell, right? Rich Dad Poor Dad said, if you want to, because at this point, I trust Robert Kiyosaki with my life at this point because he showed me what an asset is, what a liability is, how to earn more money, how to think about becoming, rich, right? How to, like he said, you should never buy a liability with the money that you work for. Like, so he said, if you work, right, you should never use your income from a paycheck to buy a liability. You should work for money, deploy that into your own personal business, and then use the business money to buy liabilities because at the end of the day, the next month you have more money coming in for your business. So he kind of just, he showed us financial state. Like, it was stuff that I've never was taught growing up in the projects. My mom lived paycheck to paycheck. My dad lived paycheck to paycheck. My dad had 2 jobs. I barely saw him in high school because he was living paycheck to paycheck. So my dad, again, respect to my parents, but they didn't know the first thing about money, obviously. And neither did really anybody that I grew up around in Staten Island. Nobody I knew was rich. Nobody I knew taught me. But thanks to Coach Bali, I realized, okay, books can teach me. Cool. That was the answer, right? So all those times my mom said read a book instead of watching Tarzan when I was growing up. Maybe she was right about that. But the thing about that, Mom, is like if I don't see you reading a book, I'm not gonna read a book. So luckily Coach Bali forced me, and I didn't start reading books until I was about 18, 19. So after my 2014 season with Seton Hill, I joined the MLM. And the reason why I did it was not because I thought I was gonna get rich. But Robert Kiyosaki said, okay, if you want to be an entrepreneur, you need to learn how to sell. And if you don't own your own business, and if you don't inherit a business from a family, the only way you can sell is if you join like a place, either you join a business and you sell their product, or you join an MLM and they already have a business like for you, and you can just kind of sell people into the business. So I'm like, okay, cool, like whatever, like all right, cool, MLM, cool. So I didn't really know what MLM was. But then one day I was in Barnes & Noble, and there was this Asian guy. His name was Fryan. So my friend, like, I'm getting some more Robert Kiyosaki books with my best friend Shannon, right? Me and my best friend Shannon. I'm like, yo, Shannon, read Rich Dad Poor Dad. He reads Rich Dad Poor Dad. Now we're like Robert Kiyosaki like fans. So we go to Barnes & Noble. And I'm like, yo, let's go to personal finance. Let's get some more Robert Kiyosaki books. Let's learn more about money. Let's be rich, Shannon. So we're in Barnes & Nobles, and he's sitting down reading the book. And I'm looking at books too. So some Asian guy comes by, and I'm just messing around at this point because I'm kind of waiting for Shannon to finish reading. And I'm like, yo, like, what book you getting? So he's like, oh, I'm getting this book. And I said, oh, okay, cool. Like, oh, boom, boom, boom. And we start shooting this shit. And I'm like, yo, like, have you ever heard of Robert Kiyosaki? And he was like, yeah. I'm like, oh, yeah, I'm about to get this book by Robert Kiyosaki. So we start talking. And then he's like, you have this moment? I'm like, yeah. And then he takes me to a desk. And he sits me down, and he kind of starts quizzing me. But then I'm answering all the questions, so he's making me feel good. And then he said, can you come to a meeting at the end of the week? I'm like, yeah, cool. I'm coming to the meeting, cool. So me and Shannon pull up to the meeting. We have no idea what's going on. We pull up, and we ring the bell. They let us in, and they have like free food everywhere, right? And again, I didn't know what the hell was going on, but they have free food everywhere. So like when they're not looking, me and Shannon putting some of the energy drinks in our pocket. We putting some of the they had like energy bars. We're putting the energy bars in our pocket. We're trying to we're stealing their food and stuff. So then we sit down, and then they give us a presentation. Like I think 30 other people came, so they give us a presentation, and it's for an MLM. Like he didn't like. Of course, it was a good presentation, whatever, whatever. Kind of just regurgitating what Robert Kiyosaki said. So I kind of trusted them, and it was like, okay, we're part of this business, and at the end of the presentation, I found out it was a network marketing business. So I was like, oh, okay. This is what Robert Kiyosaki was talking about. I was like, how much to join? He said $160. I got my $160 the next day, and I was in Amway in less than 24 hours. And the reason why, like I said, and a lot of people have questions about network marketing business and things of that nature. I seriously highly doubt you're gonna get rich off a Amway type system or whatever. But some people do, right? Some people make it in MLMs, network marketing businesses. That's cool. The chances of it being you are slim, but if you really work it, sure, you could do anything you put your mind to. But for me, the reason why I joined the MLM was because I wanted to be an entrepreneur. I wanted to know if I can sell. Because Robert Kiyosaki said, if you don't know how to sell, you can't be an entrepreneur. So I joined. I paid $160. And I went to meetings right. For those of you MLM, right, they bring you to a meeting every fucking week, so, to kind of keep you motivated, right? Because like when you in a MLM, everybody talks down on you that you're in a pyramid scheme, you're selling door to door, So they bring you to a meeting every week to kind of keep you motivated because when all the negativity gets to a lot of people. So I'm going to these meetings every week and stuff, and I'm so hyped about it. I'm hitting up my friends, I'm calling everybody, I'm meeting people at Panera, I'm trying to get them into this business. And within the first, 2 months, I had, 18 downlines. And some of them were my friends. And some people I tried to get into the business, I don't even talk to them to this day. Because I was very, very into it, right? I was calling people I haven't talked to in years. I was hitting people on Facebook. I was DMing everybody. I was so serious about this MLM thing. But, so I joined it. And, boom, I got 18 downlines, whatever, I did it. And then I played, whatever, summer comes, and then I get introduced to Ty, right? So had it not been for the MLM and me doing that, I would never got introduced to Ty because I wanted to get, more business savvy. And Ty, what do you think about this, right? A lot of people ask you about MLMs, right? A lot of people ask you about, should you do it? And the reason why I did it is because I read Robert Kiyosaki, right? And he said that in order to be an entrepreneur, you should sell. So the reason why I did it was for business training. Okay. And I didn't have the high hopes of becoming rich or the next millionaire. I just did it so I could gain the skill of selling. Because he said once you know how to sell, then you can kind of translate that to anything else. Yes. So after I learned how to sell, I kind of got introduced to you. Right. And then you kind of taught me some more stuff. And then I was kind of dropped the MLO thing, right? Because you kind of bashed it a little bit and whatever. So I kind of forget it. I know how to sell. So I kind of left that alone and I started following your stuff. Mm-hmm. And that's kind of my story. So. Definitely.
I think we should switch Periscope. We should just focus on Facebook, and then do Periscope and Meerkat. We could do for your talks, or when I play basketball, stuff like that. Let's do that. Let's try that. Pull them off. You guys on Facebook, Meerkat, make sure you switch over to. On Periscope, Meerkat, switch over to Facebook.
And they're like, no. Screaming bloody murder. You want to take us to?
Yeah, we'll take that. Nathan can take that.
Take these to the Copp.
Sometimes, I can do Facebook too, but no, this one's no good. Yeah, MLMs are great introductions.
Business training.
Because you get a
system behind you.
You get some trainers. You get some mentors.
All you need to do is focus on selling.
Yeah, and most of them don't cost that much. They're like yours was $160.
Yeah, $160. Yeah.
So all you got to do is figure out how to make $320. Oh, what's that?
I didn't know you were out.
Is that the real dog? Hey, I got a dog.
Yo, Maddie.
Wait, let me see.
I wanted to surprise you. I didn't know you were out here.
Guess what?
Picture.
Wait. It's froze. Go back. Damn it. Shit, my snap's blowing up here. All right, ready, set, go. I got a surprise. I bought a dog. A rescue pit. What's up, buddy?
When you get a dog.
We might call him Kendrick.
Kendrick, you better call him
Drake? No way.
Drake the dog.
Little kitty.
What?
Look at his little toy.
Comments on Facebook freeze after a while?
He's a
That's like
he's
the first
a
10, right?
pit what?
They think he's a pit mix with American Bulldog.
He's rescued.
Yeah, he's a rescue. Woo!
You gonna hold him?
What should I call him? Yeah, should I call him Kendrick?
You're not even wanting to hold him? You need to hold your son.
Megan,
What's up?
what are you doing? What's up, bud?
He just got his neutered, so just be careful down there.
He's neutered?
Yeah, he just got neutered. It's okay.
Here, hold the.
Can you hold the mic?
Yeah, man.
Hold the mic up.
Oh, up to him?
So we talking dogs. Here, let me just say. Look this way, buddy. Kendrick.
Oh, that's a heart now too.
Was he licking when you took the picture?
Yeah.
Was it a video? Or
Yeah. It's a video.
Look how big his paws are.
Yeah.
He's 8 weeks.
Is he bigger than normal?
Yeah.
Good.
Look how big
You gonna
his
protect
paws
that?
are.
Who has a dog? What dogs do people have?
His name should be Munger.
Somebody said name him DMX the Destroyer. That's a good name. DMX, baby. DMX.
This should be Buffett.
Yeah.
Buffett. Little Munger. Munger Buffett.
Monkey.
Little Mungie.
Monkey. You look kind of like a pit. Let me see the video.
That's pretty.
Do you love him?
Yes,
Are you sure?
I do. Did he lick my nose? All right, I gotta go. We're gonna go bring him. We're gonna introduce him to basketball.
We do some
See if we can get one where he licks my nose.
Do you want to keep him here for a while?
Well, there you go. There's your daily dose of. Maybe might two, might be. Okay, well,
There's a cuteness dose for
name
you.
him Cookie. Yeah, so there you go. There's your daily dose of Thai knowledge. Yeah, knowledge. Get neutered pit bulls and name him Kendrick. There you go. Yeah, so I'm back. I'm back here. Scroll up if you can on the comments. I just kind of want to see where we're at. I'm kind of going to finish the story, and then I'm going to take some of your questions. I'm kind of mad that he booted me off Periscope because there's some good interaction. So, anyway, yes, I'm in the MLM thing. I get 18 downlines real quick, and at that point, like I ran the experiment, right? A lot of people say, "Oh, should you join MLM? Should you go for it full time?" If you want to do it, cool. I'm not going to bash that, but for me, it was an experiment. And within the first 2 months, I realized that I could pretty much sell anybody into this thing. Cool. But I wanted a little bit more creativity. I wanted to kind of do something on my own. So after watching some business videos, trying to get better at this Amway thing, I come across Ty and his Lamborghini. So I was like, all right, cool. Like I made some money off this Amway thing. I'm just gonna reinvest it, right? Because that's what Kiyosaki talks about, reinvesting into your business, right? So I made money off the Amway thing. I remember one paycheck I had like $600. So I buy Ty Lopez's 67 Steps. Then he hits me with the upsell. Cool. I buy the blue belt. Then I buy the yellow belt. I pretty much bought everything. Now I'm listening to Ty's talks, right? And I'm still doing the Amway thing. I end up getting like 20-some people in my downline. And then the summertime comes. And I'm like, yeah, I'm really, once, I did spring ball in 2015 for football. And the summertime came, and I was like, I really don't want to do this anymore. I don't believe in the product like that. I want to do my own thing, right? So the summertime, I get a summer job for the parks department. And when I tell you this past summer, all I did was listen. I swear, I worked at a park, and all I would do, right? I was supposed to work and play with the kids. I come to work, I'd hand out the lunches, I'd sit down, and I listen to Ty's videos. That's all I did, right? 'Cause I downloaded them on my iPod. I didn't do no type of work. I was just stealing money from the state of New York. I was not working. I was just listening to audios. And the accelerator came out. So at this point, I didn't have that much money to get into the accelerator. So I opened up credit cards. I don't recommend you do it. I don't recommend you do it. I don't recommend you do it. But I opened up like 3 credit cards. I opened up Discover. I opened up Capital One. And I opened up Chase credit cards. And because I was only like 20 at the time, so I didn't have no credit, so nobody was trying to give me an extended credit line. So I opened up 3 credit cards, and I put the accelerator on them all, right? So I got the money program, and I got the entrepreneurship program. So I put them on credit cards. Cool. I go to school, and then that's when I realized the coaches had changed. So I went through football camp, and then after football camp, I was like, honestly, like I'm done with this, and I dropped out of school. So I left my scholarship behind. I said, I'm not feeling this no more. And it's not that I didn't love football. I just didn't like the politics in it. I didn't like when a new coaching staff comes in, that they have their play. I didn't like all that. So I left. I was like, I'm more into this business shit anyway. Forget it, right? And a lot of people are scared to do this, right? And a lot of people are scared to do this for several reasons. Number one, social pressure, right? When you're in school and you drop out, I mean, I tell you, when I dropped out, I didn't go home for like 2 weeks. I went to my friend's college for a week. My friend Shannon's college. He goes to a school called Alderson Broadus University. I went to his school for about a week. I didn't talk to anybody. I didn't even barely talk to my mom. I just needed to get away. I needed to strategize. So I went to his school for a week. I kind of just hung out. I didn't think about anything because I knew everybody, once I got home, was going to ask me, why did you drop out? What's your plan? This, that, third. So I went to his school for a week. I went to my other friend, Akil Jones. He goes to Cheney University in Pennsylvania. I went to his school for a day, and I kind of just chilled out. And then I went home for like 2 days, and then I went to, my girlfriend. She went to a school upstate in Oneonta, and I went there for like a weekend. And I didn't want to think about nothing. I dropped out. I was like, whatever. I'm just gonna kind of vacation for the next 2 weeks, relax, and then when I get home, I'm kind of gonna figure things out. So after I went upstate, visit my girlfriend, whatever. I came back down, and I just stood in my house. Like I locked myself in the room. I didn't tell any of my family members that I dropped out until most of my friends didn't know. I was still on social media. I didn't tweet. I didn't Instagram. I didn't Snapchat. I was secluded. And when I came home after visiting my girlfriend, I was like, okay, cool. So my dad comes in the room. He was like, look, you dropped out of school. We didn't tell you to do it. You have 30 days to get a job, or you're going to have to get your ass out of here because you ain't going to be eating up my food. I was like, and I was kind of upset at that because my thing is like, yo, like, I went from the hood, right? First of all, you the reason why I was in the project. I went from the projects to Oregon. I went back to the projects, and I got a scholarship. Like, I know how to get shit done. Like, you don't have to come in my room, which is your room because you're paying the rent, but you don't have to come in the room and telling me you're going to kick me out in 30 days if I don't find a job. Like, I have ability to get stuff done. So I was like, whatever. So they gave me the 30-day notice. So I was like, cool. So the first thing I did when the 30-day notice was like, all right, cool. I really need a plan now. I really do need a plan. So then, Terry, which was my call representative, I texted him. I was like, yo, like, I need the persuasion program now because I need to know how to market. I need to know how to, I need to know how to do this. Because at this point, I kind of realized I wanted to get into marketing, right? I already did the MLM, so obviously I like marketing. I was doing Thai. I like Thai stuff, so I like marketing. I started following Gary Vaynerchuk, too. He was a marketer. So I kind of realized, like, okay, my passion is marketing, right? And a lot of people have a question, how do you find your passion? Well, if you're self-aware, number one, you find out what you're good at, right? So all throughout college, I got all A's on presentations. So I was like, okay, I like speaking. I like being in front of the camera. I like business, right? Then I started, reading business books. Okay, I like business. I like private business. I'm probably going to go in the private business sector. What am I going to do in the private business sector? Okay, marketing. I'm Ty Lopez, Gary Vaynerchuk, MLMs. Okay, I like marketing. Okay, I want to work for a marketing consultancy. Cool. But I need to know about Google AdWords, things like that. So I was like, yo, Terry, can I give you a call? So I called Terry up. I was like, yo, I want to get in the persuasion program. And he told me how much it was going to cost. And I was like, okay, cool. So I opened up more credit cards, and I get in the persuasion program. And right before the call ended, I was like, hey, can you forward my stuff? I also see that they started hiring around the time. It was like September at this point. And that's when we started hiring. And I was like, hey, can you start like, can you forward my stuff to the HR department? And, I would love to work for you guys. So he's like, yeah, cool. So I get off the phone with him and I email him my resume. This, Terry, I love him, but he didn't even email me back. So I was like, oh, he was just playing with me, whatever. So I didn't hear from him. So then I just started going on Craigslist. I started finding. I did marketing, and I started trying to find jobs for marketing. I started writing everybody. I was writing everybody messages. And then there was this one post. This guy was like, I'm looking for somebody who knows about all the thought leaders like Seth Godin, Gary Vaynerchuk, Tim Ferriss, yada yada yada. So I wrote him a whole paragraph about Gary Vaynerchuk, a whole paragraph about Seth Godin. But I'm like, hey, there's one guy you're forgetting. His name is Ty Lopez, and I write him a whole paragraph. So he responds back to me the next day and was like, okay, cool, let's set up a schedule next week. And I was like, in my head, I was like, oh, hell nah, because if I wait another week, he's going to find somebody who has a degree, somebody who has experience, so I'm going to lose that battle. So I did something that Ty teaches in the 67 steps and then in the persuasion, the accelerator program. He was like, work for free. This is going to reset in 5 minutes, but he was like, work for free. So when the guy emailed me back and said, okay, we'll set up a schedule next week, I was like, nah. So luckily in the signature, it was like the name of the company. Because when you're applying for jobs on Craigslist, like you don't even know what the hell you're applying for. Like you're just responding to every post, every message. You shooting in the air and you hope somebody gets you back. So I really didn't know what the hell this guy was. I was responding to like 20 posts, 30 posts a day. So he wrote me back. I'm like, I even forgot what I wrote. I forgot what this company was about. And luckily he had a signature at the very bottom, Microfame Media. So I was like, oh, okay. So I Googled Microfame Media, and the location was in Brooklyn. I was like, all right, cool. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the address, and I'm going to ask them, hey, you emailed me this morning, but, I'd work for free, and that way whenever you're ready to hire me, you could just start paying me then. So I take a trip all the way from Staten Island to Brooklyn. I mean, it was deep in Brooklyn. It took me about an hour and a half to get there. And I'm knocking on the door, right? First of all, I get to the apartment building, and it's an apartment building. I'm like, okay, this seems kind of sketchy. I'm like, all right, whatever. I got like 25 days at this point. I don't care. I'll work from a home office if I have to. So then I go in the building, I go knock on the door, nobody answers. So I'm like, wow, I just took the 2-hour trip for nothing. Whatever. So then I walk out the building. I'm like, oh, let me see if they have a phone number on the website. Maybe I'll call and ask him where he's at. So I call, and it was like a virtual assistant type person, like a secretary. So I'm, hey, my name's Andrew Copp. Michael, he just, he emailed me this morning. He said, he wanted to set a schedule next week, but I just came to his office. He's not there. I just wanted to let him know that I'm willing to work for free for however long until he's ready to hire me. And the woman was like, oh, wow, that's so great. And, oh, yeah, I have your resume right here. I'll tell him, I'll call him and I'll tell him. And, the thing with secretaries is they're like gatekeepers, right? And I was like, she's just blowing smoke on my ass. She ain't going to tell him. Kind of like what Terry did, right? Terry's blowing smoke on my ass. He probably just wants to sell. He's not going to get me no job with Ty Lopez. This woman, she's blowing smoke on my ass. She's not going to get me this job. Whatever. So I was like, all right, cool. Yeah, cool. So I'm starting to head home, right? And I'm about to get on the ferry. And she called. She was like, hey, Michael's actually in town. He wants to know if you could meet him at Starbucks in 30 minutes. I'm like, hell yeah. So I go away to Starbucks. This is in Midtown for all the NYC people. I'm in Midtown, and I go up to the 3rd floor, and he's standing up. And I walk to him. I was like, hey, Mike, you Michael? He's like, yeah, you Andrew? I was like, yeah, cool. He just looked at me. He was like, I wasn't planning on interviewing anybody today. And then we just laughed. And then I sat down, and I started regurgitating everything that I learned from the money program, from the entrepreneurship program, from the persuasion program. And he was blown away. The fact that I was only 21 at the time, and I knew all this stuff about marketing, providing value, about split test, about join forms, about softwares we could use, about the new, cutting edge, because Periscope was just coming out. I'm like, hey, you're doing, podcasts, you should do video too. And I was giving him all these ideas, and he was like, where the hell did you come from? Like, and then on the spot, I was like, yeah, I'll work for free. Cool. Like, what we could still do the interview next week if you want to do it formally. I'll work for free on the house. And he was like, oh, no way. And on that day, I got a job. He's like, yo, I'll give you a test run. The first 60 days, I'll give you $1,000 per month. So I'll give you $1,000 for October, and I'll give you another $1,000 for November. And then if I like you within these 2 months, then I'll hire you full time. I'm like, I bet, cool. I went home, told my mom, 30 days is off. I got a job, cool. So I'm gonna drop out, and I got a job. I dropped out 2 months before, and 2 months after I dropped out, I got a job with no degree. This is before I worked with Ty. So for all of you the people that say, okay, you need a degree to get a job, not true, because there's people out here with degrees are not getting jobs. There's people out here with no degrees not getting jobs. It's about what you know, right? So the fact I got a job as a dropout was not because of degree, and it's because I could offer him value. I knew more about marketing. I'm not gonna say I knew more about marketing, but I knew just as much and some more in other areas than he did. So he was willing to hire me because I offered value, and that was all because of the accelerator program. So he hires me. Cool. I'm working for him. I'm killing it. Killing it. I'm doing everything he's asking. I'm doing more than what he's asking. I'm providing value. And I get a call from Ty Lopez. And, you know, I had to fly out for an interview. And I'm getting the job here. And there you go. So Facebook's going to reset. I'm going to have the video team come fix this up. And then I'm pretty much done with my story. And I'm going to Q&As after. Yeah, cool. Yeah, so would you go back to Amway with what you learn now? No, I would definitely not go back to Amway after what I learned now. It's not worth it. And the thing about Amway, it was kind of hard because like you're kind of asking. Of course, you could apply some of the stuff that you learn now in the accelerator and some of the stuff that's out there now, but it's kind of hard because you're not really asking for value up front. I mean, you're not providing value up front. You're kind of asking for the sale. And that's the one thing I didn't like about it is that you kind of have to be a little bit pushy and something like that. So no, knowing what I know now, I would just start my own thing and have the creative power. Because that's the thing about like Amways or even franchises for that extent. You don't have no creative power in how you do business, right? I don't make the energy drinks that they make. I don't make the energy bars that they make. So for you, no, I personally would not go back to an MLM knowing what I know now from Ty, from Gary, from the accelerator. I wouldn't go back. I would just create my own business and keep 100% of what I'm doing. Because, I mean, I was doing, even with MLM, I was doing so much work, and then my biggest paycheck was like $600. I mean, it was cool, but the knowledge I got from it was most important. But then now that I know so much more, then I would not go back. So I'm going to finish my story, and then I'm going to get the Q&A. And then kind of open the accelerator again and then do the giveaway. So with that being said, I got the job as a dropout. So I dropped out, and 2 months later, I got a job in Manhattan, right? So had I not been here, I'd probably be in Manhattan living it up somewhere. And it's pretty cool how I went from the projects, you know, eating whatever, seeing people die, seeing people get shot, seeing people getting thrown off the balconies. I went from that, you know, to Oregon, and then I went back to Wilmington, Delaware. And then I went to Scene Hill, and then I dropped out. I still don't have a degree to this day, and then I got a job in Manhattan. So I have ability to get stuff done, and that's basically my story. I remember when I was I forgot to mention when I left Oregon, I went to Wilmington, right? I got that place off Craigslist too, and I got it with a football player of mine, right? So we was gonna live in the same room, right? And we was gonna split rent. And after the first week, he kind of dipped. Like he left the football program. He left the school. I went home. I went home after his class one day, and all like the bed was gone. His stuff. I didn't know what the hell happened. Right. So he kind of left me hanging with the rent. And I went to the lady who was renting out the room. I was like, honestly, ma'am, like I could barely pay my half of the rent, and like my roommate left, and I don't know what to do. Like, you feel me? Like, is there any way like I could just pay you my half of the rent? Like, cause I can't pay the whole thing. Like my mom can't afford that. And she was like, yeah, cool. Like, she was just very nice about it. So I was like, I felt bad, the fact that I kind of, like, couldn't pay the rent. So I started, like, cleaning up around the house because, like, the house wasn't the cleanest house. Again, I was living in Wilmington, Delaware. Like, it's not the cleanest area. It was, like, at that time, it was, like, the 8th dangerous city in the country. So, like, you go outside, there's nothing but crackheads and, like, you know. I was at the bus stop. I saw, like, I saw a meth deal right in front of me. Like, I didn't know where the hell I was living at. So like I just started doing the dishes and stuff. Like I started, you know, offering value because I couldn't pay the whole rent. So like she was like, you could pay half of it. So I started washing dishes for rent. And then when I went back home for the summertime after like classes and stuff. And then she held my apartment for September. And when I came back in September, she was like, honestly, Andrew, like you don't have to pay. Like you were so good. Like you don't have to pay any rent. Like you could just stay here until like however long you need. So like I was in Wilmington, Delaware, washing dishes for rent. Like it was that. Like I went. Like that's how I was living. So for me to be in West Hollywood now, is definitely a blessing. So that's kind of my story. that's the things I've been through. Went from, you know, in the hood, and then and the cool thing about it, and the thing is, like, life is so nuanced, right? So for me to go from the hood to Oregon, I needed school. Like, I needed class, I needed school to get me out of that situation. I needed my academics, I needed to score high on the SAT to go from living in the projects to a school like Oregon, right? I needed to play football, I needed my grades. But then once I was in college, I realized, time out, like, this stuff that I'm learning is really not gonna apply to the real world. Now I need business savviness. I need to know how to sell, right? So the beginning half of my life, I went from school, football. Then I was in college. I was like, oh, Tom, I need to know how to sell, because the stuff I'm learning in school is not going to apply, right? I have a sister. She's 39, I believe, right now, and like, she has a master's degree, and I'm looking at her life, and like, she lives a cool, like, she does well for herself, but like, I wouldn't want to be my sister, and she has 2 degrees. I have a brother who has a degree. He's probably watching right now. Shout out Taylor. But like, I wouldn't want to live like him, and he has a degree. So like, me being the youngest in my family, I seen 2 siblings that have degrees. And I'm like, I don't want to live like that. My parents had degrees, and look how I was born. So I started putting 2 and 2 together. Like, degrees doesn't necessarily correlate to a good life. Now, yes, sometimes if you want to be a lawyer, you want to be a doctor, the cliche bullshit, yeah, go get a degree because you need it legally. If you're from the projects, do well in school because you'll make it out the projects. But if you want a life of abundance, you need a whole different type of education. And luckily, you know, Rich Dad Poor Dad kind of paved the way for me, and then it was MLMs, and then I got introduced to Thai. And that's the thing about business, right? Everybody wants to be the next Mark Zuckerberg. Everybody wants to be the next Elon Musk, and that's cool. Some people could do it, but most of us cannot. And I was watching an interview with Jay-Z and Warren Buffett a couple months ago, you know, and it was like, you know, business is kind of like baseball, right? You hit a base hit, then you go to second base, go to third base, and then you kind of go around the diamond like that. And that's kind of my approach to it, right? I don't come from a business family. I didn't have anything to inherit. I kind of had to do it all on my own. So I started off selling stuff, right? I started off with MLM. Cool. Experiment ran, success. First base hit. Now I'm doing Thai. Now I'm learning, right? I'm learning more about Thai. I'm learning more about actual business stuff. Cool. I'm getting a little bit of education. Second base hit. Now the next step for me is to go out and create my own type of business, and then that would be a third base hit, and then eventually I could go around the diamond like that. So for you guys out there, I would definitely recommend taking a more long-term approach to business, more base hits, more experiments, more trying things out, instead of trying to go from the home run, trying to create the next Snapchat or the next, you know, Alibaba or the next Amazon. You know, that's not for everybody. For the most part, business is a long-term game, and, you know, take the necessary steps to go ahead and get that. Anton, are you talking after me?
I'm actually going to come up and ask you a question.
Cool. Give me 5 more minutes, and then
Together for the close? Can we work together with you?
I'll work together. You just finish the story, and then I'll give you a hand wave, and you come over. Okay, cool. Yeah, so that's kind of my story, and like I said, I promise you some Q&As. Now that Periscope is gone, it's gonna be a little bit harder. Yeah, I see that video, team. Thank you. Yeah, so I'm gonna answer some questions, and you know, if anybody has any questions for me, then definitely let me know. But that's definitely my story. I wanted to come up and share that with you. And the next time up here, I'll kind of show you some more stuff. My first 2 talks were more business context, like, okay, how to actually do stuff in marketing and business. But then, you know, I put my Snapchat up, and everybody was just asking me my story. So I thought I'd come up here and share that for you. A lot of you guys asking my Snapchat. I'm going to plug myself. It's Andrew Copp1. Andrew Copp, COPP1. I'm not going to write on the board because Anton's going to. Actually, I will write on the board. I know Mai's going to get mad at me, but, you know, it is what it is. Okay, I'm going to take some few questions, and then I'm going to invite my friend Anton up here to speak. He'll come. I'm not sure exactly what he's talking about, but we'll definitely provide some value for you guys. What did you make next after 1,000 a month? Actually, okay, so as far as the 1,000 a month, I only worked for him in October because I came here at the beginning of November. So I only worked for him for 1 month because then I left him to come work for Ty. So after dropping out, 3 months after dropping out, I ended up getting my dream job working for Ty Lopez, and it worked out for me. I dropped out and I got blessed. It's not going to happen for everybody, but the thing about it, you know, everybody says, oh, well, you work for Ty Lopez, it's because you went through the programs and da-da-da. But even had I not been working here, I would have been working in Manhattan. I would have been just fine as a dropout. And it's because I invested it in my education. I invested in my knowledge. I didn't just depend on a degree to carry the weight for me. I actually invested it in my knowledge and marketing, and then I wooed somebody to hire me. I persuaded him to hire me because he could have found somebody way better credentials than I did, but I knew more. Why did Ty hire you? Every speaker does a different business. Go on, big man. Ty hired me for, I mean, like I said, I went through his programs, right? Ty, I'm young. You know, when Ryan Holiday, when he took over American Apparel, he was 21. I'm 21. And Ty likes people with a fresh mind. So I don't come from like a corporate background, so I wasn't like plagued with old way of doing things. I'm not like so caught up in like Nielsen, Rankins, and things like that. I have a fresh perspective, and I went through a lot of his programs, so we kind of have the same values. So that's definitely why. My favorite book, like I said, Rich Dad Poor Dad, started me out. If you're really a rookie, I would recommend that. But now I'm a little bit more advanced. I actually finished reading 0 to 1. I'm on Sam Walton's book now. Charlie Munger's. Just go to tylopez.com/books. Those are all the books I'm going to read. I'm just going to do what Ty does, really. Why Reinvent the Wheel. How do you get in touch with Ty? Come to a live conference. We're going to open up the accelerator. You'll get an annual pass to that. Why did you get a whiteboard? Save paper, save money. Yeah, this is my Snapchat. For the guys who don't know, Andrew Copp 1 at Andrew Copp 1. Bro, you're awesome, man. I appreciate that. What is one word that motivates you the most? The one word that motivates me the most, that's a very like complex question, because what motivates me is the ability to give my people a better life than I was given, right? I want to give my child, my son, I don't want my son to be raised in a project like I was raised. I don't want my son to go through the things that I went through. I don't want my son seeing people get thrown off a balcony and waking up to somebody dead. I don't want to have my son washing dishes for rent. So that's what motivates me. So I guess the one word would be providing. Outwitting the Devil, The Alchemist. The Alchemist. I've read some of that. That's a good book. Yes. Paul Calhoun, whatever his name is, he's a good author too. But honestly, I would just go to tylopez.com/books, and I would just read those books. And the thing about that, you could pick whatever you want. Like if you're into health, then pick the health. But I don't get like just go. Why? Like why would you go to Barnes and Nobles and experiment when you go to tylopez.com/books and then pick out of that? Be yourself and honest, impressed by being real with humor. I'm only 20. Hey Jose, yeah, man, that's what's up, dog. I'm 21, dog. Where we are in this day and age, it seems like the younger you are, the more open-minded you are, and the more open-minded you are, and this economy is what will win. Because if you look about what has won within the last decade, it's people who move fast, right? Gary Vaynerchuk, he has over 1 million people on Twitter because he went there first. Ty Lopez made a killing in the financial industry because he did Google AdWords first. So being open-minded in this day and age, you'll be able to adopt new mediums, new social media. So be open-minded, and us being so young, we're that way. So you no longer have to be 40 years old to be successful. So good job. Whether it be a live conference in New York, again, I hope so. I'm from New York, and I had a blast going to New York conference. Grind. Yeah, grind is a good word. Hustle. Amen. What's your degree again? I don't have a degree. I dropped out, and I'm working with Ty Lopez. So it's not so much about the degree. It's about how much you know. Because I'm telling you, I bet you right now, if let's say Ty needed somebody in his marketing department, if he'd rather have somebody who has 1 million followers on Twitter, he'd rather have somebody who has 500,000 followers on Instagram, because they show that they know the ability to get things done. They're actually practitioners, right? So in this day and age, the best way to get somewhere you want to get a job that you want, is actually practice the stuff that a business needs, right? So if a business needs help with the email list, say, hey, I've done this before on my own email list, and they'll hire you. Napoleon Hill, I really didn't like that book. What's that book by Napoleon Hill? Yeah, I didn't like that book. I read that. I didn't like it. I don't see all the hype about it. I'm sure it's great. I mean, everybody recommends it. I didn't like it. What's some advice you have for a 22-year-old MLM entrepreneur wanting to transition to other kind of marketing and possibly investing? Like I said, when I went into MLM, I really didn't have the mindset it was going to make me rich. So once I knew how to sell, I read about other things. It's like whenever you get into other things, You could just, it's the KSE formula, right? I'm reading a book right now with Sam Walton. When he went into department stores, when he went into knowing or wanting to know how to run a department store, he went to the library and read every book on department stores. When Warren Buffett wanted to know about investing, he went to the library and got every book on investing. And it's crazy because at first you think Ty's just saying this shit tongue in cheek. Oh, read a book. And you can think, okay, well, he reads a book, he sells books on Amazon on his website. Maybe he has some type of fucking interest, right? Maybe he has some type of bias toward getting people to read books because it helps him in some type of real way. But if you actually read the books and you look at these entrepreneurs, they did exactly what he talks about. Like every entrepreneur that I read about actually read and did research before they entered the market. So hope that helps. Are you looking to do your own thing, build your own business? Yes, I want to build my own business for the simple fact that I come from a health background, as you know, football and things like that, and I know Ty is launching a health product soon. So the reason why I would want to do a health product right now, and I'm in the works of doing a health business, is that way I could offer more value to Ty, because I can say, hey, Ty, I'm doing this for my own business. This works. So the reason why I'm doing that right now is so I could offer Ty more value, because Ty has me locked up for life. Ty really changed my life. If he wanted to add me to a 10-year contract right now and lock me up, I'll do it. Like, I'm loyal to him. So the only reason why I want to be a practitioner is so I could actually help in the business. I want to give ties. I'm a franchise player, dog. Give me the franchise tag. I'm here. But hopefully we do open an office in New York, 'cause I would love to be in New York. The greatest salesman in the world. Who you talking about, Michael? I'm going to finish these questions, and I'm going to come answer you. I have like 6 more. Hopefully I'll finish it before it reloads. How does it work? I don't know what you're talking about. Okay, you're making sweet. Turn Scope back on. Scope and Meerkat's just going to be for Tide now on. What is your general daily routine? I wake up 4:30 every morning on the weekdays. So Monday through Friday, I wake up 4:30 in the morning. Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, I work out in the gym. I come home. I read for an hour. Then I go to work. And then after work, I come home and I work on my own personal things. And Wednesdays, I do yoga at night, but I still wake up 4:30 and I read in the morning. And then on the weekends, I do cycling and stuff. So weekends, I kind of flex. I'm a little flexible. Sometimes I sleep in, sometimes I don't. But definitely, and this is something my mentor Landon said, right? He said the body likes working out. The body doesn't like routines. Like, you always want to switch up your workout. But as far as general life, you want to kind of wake up at least 5 days out of the week at a certain time. For me, it's 4:30 because I hate going to a crowded-ass gym, and I'm not a night owl. So it's self-awareness. If you, like, Ty likes staying up all night and shit. I can't do that. How does it work? What books you recommend? Ty Lopez does /books. Meditation. No, I don't do meditation, but I do yoga because I stretch. I work out a lot. I'm a big believer in balance, so I don't want to hurt myself. So I work out 4 days a week, and I do yoga 2 days a week, and I do like a cycling class 1, right? So I work out 4 days a week. I do cycling 1 day a week, and I do yoga 2 days a week. How many hours should I put in a 24-hour day? It's up to you. I know Gary Vaynerchuk, he works 16, 17 hours a day. Ty puts in his work, but he's more a big believer in 8 hours of sleep. So it's all about self-awareness. How do you find balance? Experiment. Ty said something so profound the other day at a Nick Unworth's conference. He said, stop trying to dictate. He was talking about marketing. He said, stop trying to predict the next experiment, and stop trying to play God and let the market play God, right? Stop trying to predict what's going to work and let the market tell you what works. I'm up at 3:40. Hey, 3:45. That's cool. What's life goal when you were 16? Oh man, when I was 16, I wanted to be a lawyer because I was good at speaking, and I come from the project, so I could I knew I was gonna be good at sales because I could finesse anybody. So I always wanted to be in arguments, right? This is a funny story. Like, me and my ex-girlfriend, like me and her mother got in a big argument, and like for me, like I just need to know when to shut my mouth sometimes. So I'm good at debating. I love debating. I love Stephen A. Smith from First Take. I always looked up to him because he's such a good debater. What time do I go to sleep? I try to go to sleep around, during the weekdays I get about 5.5 hours of sleep to 6, and on the weekends I try to get 7 or 8. So I try to make up for my sleep on the weekends. That's just because I'm doing a lot and I need more hours. I don't have, you know what I'm saying? I'm not Ty. I don't have his balance right now, so I have a lot more time. So like I have more time than Ty does to work on stuff. So I sleep a little less.